Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with this edition of Trooper Talk. We have some familiar guests, and we have a very special guest, and a very special guest as well. Introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada Highway Patrol Public Affairs, and I'm their Public Information Officer.
And you, sir.
Thank you for having me. I'm Trooper Chen, Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, currently assigned to the Armored Task Force with K9 Rooster here, who is trained in explosives detection, and we are the state's newest K9 detection team.
And you, sir.
I'm Trooper Villanueva, Nevada State Police. I am the sworn recruiter for Southern Command or Region 1.
And we appreciate everybody being here. We had his mom on here. it was very exciting.
That's awesome.
You know, it's one big family. You know what I'm
Absolutely,
saying?
yeah.
It is.
All right.
Keep it in the family.
That's right.
So I have a bunch of things. I have some. I always like to throw them like curveballs, you know what I mean? But of what the law is and stuff like that. But I have something very interesting to start this day off. Okay, because I know you guys wear your the smoky hats, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Sergeant Barachek. Okay, we love Sergeant Barachek. His wife is Mitchie's Munchies.
Oh,
Wow, okay.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
All right, so let me show you what I got for you, okay? And I can't give one to you, little dog, because I know how strict my little dog is with his little diet. But I can still give it to you to look at. So
Don't let him see it either.
all right, so
Yeah, yeah.
check this out, okay? Johnny, I'm going to stand up. All right, so pass these, okay?
All right.
No, sit. You can sit.
We go. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
so look at this. I got
Don't
Trooper
look at it.
Talk, little
Okay.
cookies and all that stuff.
So he's got the Trooper Talk.
Right.
Okay. And then
All
we
right.
got the thank you for keeping us safe.
Right.
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 And then are these like
Everything's edible.
candle?
Not in that way.
Okay.
Right. Let me be clear. Right. Okay. Now, so Mitch's Munchies.
Okay.
All right, but
Mitch
here's
and
here's the cool part. Okay,
right.
you ready?
that was.
All right. What do you think of that?
Oh,
cool.
Trooper cake.
That's
oh,
really
I love
cool.
it.
Ah,
Look at
what do you
that.
think of that?
That's pretty cool.
Can
Pretty
you eat
cool.
it?
That's awesome.
Yes. That is
Now, should I put it
100%
here, or
edible.
are we worried about the dog eating?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, let's put that somewhere else.
Yeah, he might. Okay.
Yeah, he might take a bite out of it.
Little
Should
nibble.
we put it back?
Yeah,
we'll
let's
put it
put
back.
it back.
Yeah, right.
He's already eyeing it.
All
There
right,
you go.
so we'll put it right back over here.
He can smell
All right.
it.
So anyway,
Yeah.
she makes this.
That's awesome.
Awesome. That's very good.
Okay.
Tell her she does a great
So-
job.
I tell you first, but it's a surprise because next week is our 200th episode. And everybody who's coming on the show is going to get one of these.
Oh, how awesome.
Oh wow. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's very, very cool, but I wanted to show it off
Yeah.
because she was supposed to bring it last week, but I wasn't feeling well. And so anyway, so I wanted to show this off because I know you guys always have those, and I thought, you know, this is really cool, and she's fantastic. So if anybody needs anything, she does anything for the dietary and all that type of stuff. Anyway, I thought, you know, this is something very interesting.
And it's
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
detailed.
Yeah, it's
if you
very
look at it, I
detailed,
mean,
yeah.
she's put some a
Yeah.
lot of time into
Yeah, it's
that.
got the
That's
eagle
awesome.
on the top and everything. Yeah,
That's
it's
what I'm
awesome.
So I can put my little hat now there. You know what
There
I'm
you
saying? Okay. So let's start off with you, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Nothing we do is scripted. Okay, so we didn't talk about what to ask or anything like that. We've had other K9 officers come on, right? So before we get into what it is that you do, right? Does your dog interact at your house? Do you keep him in a specified area? How does that work with your K9?
Yeah, so Rooster, he comes home with me every day. I don't treat him like a typical pet. He doesn't get toys at home. He doesn't sit on the couch or get any table scraps or anything like that. It's very regimented. So he gets his breaks, he eats. But like I say, he doesn't get his toys at home. When he comes to work, that's when he plays. That's what keeps his drive up. That's what keeps him motivated to work.
And when he's home, he has like a specified like area at your home that is just like for him and stuff like that?
Yes, I have a specific area in the front part of my house where he sleeps in his kennel, and that's where he sleeps overnight. Or if he's not doing anything or eating, he pretty much stays in the kennel. Or sometimes I bring him out, take him on breaks or take him on walks. But besides that, he'll be in the kennel.
And then you sign on from your driveway,
Yes.
right? Which is one of the benefits of having a take-home car, right?
Yeah.
But I noticed that when I came in this morning, so your vehicle is 100% a ghost car.
Yes, sir. So,
Right.
yes.
So they drive past you at 130 and they don't care.
they do that even with Mark.
Yeah, that's true.
He
That's
knows.
true.
Which brings me to a next conversation that I'm going to have with Trooper Hagstrom. So now talk to me about you. How long have you been with Nevada State Police? We know that you are in a specialized division, right? So where did you start? You know what I mean? Take
Yeah,
us
sure.
through that, because we're always looking for more qualified men and women that want to join the force.
Right.
So we need to know where you started and how did you end up here. So
Sure.
now I open the floor to you.
Sure. Yeah, so I started about 10 years ago. Actually, it will be this Sunday. It will be my 10-year anniversary. I started probation actually right before Louis did over here. Supervised probationers and parolees. Did a lot of out-of-state extraditions for offenders who absconded. Did that for about 5 years. And in 2020, that's when I transferred over to Highway Patrol. Loved doing that. Worked mainly urban swings, going call to call, handling tons of crashes, seen lots of fatalities. Got to travel a lot as well. And then last year I had the opportunity to become a canine handler, and here I am now.
And what made you, so when you're in your office in your patrol car, right? You're driving around and doing everything that you need to do, and now being a dog owner, which I wasn't for a long time, right? There's a lot of inherent responsibilities that you take on being a pet owner, especially in this qualified state, right? So what made you take the leap from taking care of yourself to not only taking care of something else, but that's what you wanted to do?
Honestly, it kind of just jumped in my lap. Before this, I never really thought about becoming a canine handler. I was just asked, like, hey, there was a position open. Would you like to apply for it? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, sure. Why not? I just throw my name in the hat and see what happens, you know. And here I am now. I got selected to be part of the spot, and I'm extremely fortunate to be in the spot where I am right now. I get tons of training. I get to work with Rooster every day. Like, it's some of the things I get to do is uncomparable to any other job.
And without getting into specifics, and then we're going to talk to you guys, explain to us in a sort of generalized setting what it is that you do.
So me and Rooster here, he's trained in explosives detection. So what we do is we do preventative sweeps at at large venues, dignitaries when they come in. We'll do a sweep of their rooms, their motorcades. Big events like EDC, F1, New Year's Eve, we'll be out there doing preventative sweeps, make sure there's no threats. And yeah, he's an important asset to our counterterrorism goals. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? He's got a partner that never complains. That's one of the
Right.
best partners you could ever have.
Yeah.
And he's always happy to go to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's one of the greatest jobs of being a
100%,
canine handler. Absolutely.
We've found exactly like you're saying, which is that when the canine officers have come on, you know, that because people are always interested, like, oh, do they run around in your house? Do they jump on the sofas? And you know what I mean? And people have to know that when they have specialized canine officers, that they are not, you know, the same as you would have like your normal canine. And so,
Yeah, they
know,
always have to
and-
be
and
on
so
tact with their
they-
job.
They have to be, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
they come in, you know. So I was on the phone with Trooper Hagstrom the other day, and we were talking about the 200th episode, right? And, you know, we're just, you know, he has his phone on the Bluetooth like you're supposed to do.
Right.
And driving down the road, and and you hear this thing coming from the back of him like a jet airplane. Okay? And all of a sudden, you know, he I don't know how much he had his window down, but it was rolled down a little bit, right? And you hear this thing go, shoo! I mean, it was like an airplane flying by his window, and he goes, "Yep, there goes that motorcycle at 130."
Yeah.
You know, and it's just so speed, impairment, you know, there's a lot of other underlying factors which we'll get to, right, when we do the pictures and all that. But these things are devastating. And, you know, the thing that he said to me on the phone was, it's not about this person, right? It's about this guy who is weaving in and out of the traffic that is going to cause that person down the road to slam on their brakes, which the underlying factor is the person that's 3 cars behind who's going 65 or 70 miles an hour, who's, you know, looked down to, you know, turn the radio on, or, you know what I mean? Is the underlying fact from a person who is recklessly driving. And during the summer months, right, I had the top down, you know what I mean? Like, this is the time that people think that it's the Indianapolis Speedway.
Oh, and it's all the time, Neil, and it's kind of getting worse because now we're getting summer weather, and people are getting out and about, but people got to understand speed kills, right? You know, the reaction time, like the motorcycles we were just talking about, putting other lives in danger. You know, going in and out, let's say they cause a crash and you end up killing somebody. I mean, they're responsible, but when you're going at those speeds, 130, you're probably not going to, most likely, never come back from that. And that's why a little bit later we're going to talk a little bit more about motorcycles, because we've had some fatalities I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
But the thing is, I understand people that want to just go out and see what their car does or their speed. You know, I'm sure almost every guy's done it. You know what I mean? To get their car up, but they don't do it constantly every day, and they're playing Russian roulette where it takes just one mistake, and it's over. You're done for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And we've talked about, you know, how death affects others.
Yeah.
Now you're talking your families, your friends, co-workers. You know, like one death we talked, it affects hundreds or almost thousands, depending on who you are, right? So we're going to try to get that message out. We're always doing it every day as far as Nevada State Police with the Highway Patrol. We're always trying to get the 2 big contributing factors of fatals down, which is speed and impairment. Always trying to get that in the valley. You know, people are going to more parties now because summer's around, but that speed is getting to be one of the biggest factors, even with our crashes, and we're going to explain that with some photos down the road here on the show. But we really have to hamper that speed down here in the valley. And we've been talking, the last year, really hammering about speed and issues, just not only with the motorcycles, but in the cars in the morning. When I talk to you about some of the people I have to stop still doing 116 or 90 plus on our 65, like on the 215 alone, you know what I mean? And I talked to our motor guys. We're end up getting another Mustang that's going to work the Prim District, which is very nice with all that California traffic. But Ted, you remember Ted Sajowski with Motors, when they're down there running radar, there's nothing really below in the 90s. It's like hundreds. They're coming into this state at 100 miles plus. And they're not even almost looking at the 90s right now because they have so many people driving at that high rate of speed. They just can't pull over enough of them because that's how much speed has gone. And Neil, I don't know what the issue is, because I think after COVID, you know, everybody being cooped up, people have kind of got a little crazy and out of hand, and they forgot about the laws and morals and just looking after their fellow man here in our community.
Right.
We have to be respectful to others and also abide by the laws, because if we don't have any of that, we don't have a society, right?
Right.
So we really have to bring down that speed, and especially impairment in the valley, because that's becoming a big issue too.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have enough. I mean, let's face it. You could hire 1,000 people tomorrow and put 1,000 troopers on the road tomorrow, and you're still going to have not enough troopers to pull over all the people going crazy. Okay.
Right.
We understand that. Does that make sense? But we need people that are very interested in having camaraderie and brotherhood. You know, I had somebody who was telling me about their child who is graduating, you know, high school, and who's going to be 18. And he said, yeah, you know, that he's thinking about going into the military. And I said, that's cool. He said, but you know, you always talk about the Nevada State Police. What happens if they join Nevada State Police? And I go, listen, 18 to 20 and a half, you're doing all the paperwork, right? Like,
Right.
you know, like everything that you talk about, which I want you to tell us, right? But by 21, you're fully qualified. You know, you do your time, and you have this tremendous bond, and I mean, you're set up for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's not easy, which is what I said to him. I said,
Right.
listen, I'm just telling you, it's not easy. Like, they tell me what it is that they go through on the show, but I can only imagine when it's face to face.
Yeah.
So, leave it open. I leave it open to you now. But you know, that's what people have to know, right?
Yes, so absolutely. So you have to be 20 and a half to apply, and then 21 by the time you graduate. So I go to high schools and I'll do events and whatnot, and I tell them that they're still not too young to apply. They can do dispatching, so then that way they understand the codes and the procedures and the way we handle calls, and then that way they're working with the troopers and officers on a day-to-day basis that they're going to be working with in the future when they end up applying for law enforcement. Or they can do clerical work down at the offices of Highway Patrol or Parole and Probation and kind of get to know the ins and outs of the court processes and the documents that we have to prepare for the courts. Or with Parole and Probation, they can start working with the caseload workers and preparing documents again for the courts, or also working for the officers that they're going to be working with in the future. So,
How long do they have to wait in those two designations before they're allowed to apply if an opening was to happen for a specialized unit?
So one of the things that I say is the biggest benefits for us. We're kind of a smaller agency, so that means more opportunities arise at a quicker rate. You're fighting with maybe hundreds, if not thousands, of other applicants that are wanting that specialized position. With us, it's maybe a handful. What I stress is that it's mainly your work ethic and your workload, the way that you handle yourself at work. If you're lazy and you kind of don't handle the road the way you should be, or you don't handle the caseload the way you should be, you're not going to get that specialized unit in a quick manner. If you go out and you work and you're diligent and you're handling crashes, you're stopping people, you're going out to offenders' houses, you're handling your caseload, you can get a specialized unit within the first maybe 2 years of your career. It's just the way you handle yourself and the way you're proficient with your work.
And it comes down to the fact, you'll find this very interesting, because I was going to ask about your attire, right? Well, because here's the thing, that we always talk about the fact that when you go to the academy, that if one string is out of place, that means that you're going to forget a bullet in your clip. Like, oh, I left that on the bed today, and well, just get it tomorrow, or you know what I mean? And then the one time you need that, right? And so it comes down to the proficiency,
Right.
which is what they teach you in the academy, from someone that knows nothing.
Right.
Is that's correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't ask for anybody to have any experience whatsoever. You don't have to have any law enforcement experience, security experience even. There's nothing that we're asking you to come already knowing. You can come day one not knowing anything about law enforcement, not knowing anything about firearms, driving patrol vehicles. You don't need to have any experience whatsoever. We're going to teach you everything. Everything down to the attention to detail like you're talking about. From the day one of the academy, we are going to hound attention to detail and looking professional every single day throughout your career.
And so this is what you wear every day, like that?
Yep, pretty much what I wear. So as being part of the task force, I'm not typically answering calls on the road or handling crashes or making traffic stops. However, I still do if it's egregious enough, like if they're blowing past me at like 100 miles an hour. Yeah, of course I'm gonna stop them and issue them a ticket, but I don't do the typical trooper daily work life activities, I guess you would say, every day. We do a lot of training. That's why the gear that I wear is very limited or taken down a little bit, because I don't really need everything like a normal trooper would. My car is unmarked due to the fact, like I said, I'm not working the road or making traffic stops. A lot of what we do is responsive. We work as a hazmat response team, specializing in things like chemical, radiation, biological explosives. So a lot of the stuff that we do is, like I said, responsive and not typically out patrolling. And that's why you see what I'm wearing right now. My pants are already dirty, you know, from his fur. The rest of my team, they wear the same exact thing, tan pants, black shirt or polo. And that's pretty much what everyone wears.
He has the same demeanor as I forget his name, but the sergeant who came in from
Dipolato from Dignitary.
yes.
Yeah.
Dipolato.
Yeah, no, right. like 100% the same exact. It's very cool because I said to him, we were having the conversation. I'll get to the pictures now, but we were having the conversation when he was here, and I said to him, because when we stood over there before, and I just introduced myself and stuff like that, but then when we sat down, it was very cool because it was like he was having this conversation with me, but he was also like scanning the room, right? Like, you know, like, but not in it, but it was more like mental, like, because that's the way that he was trained. And so it's things that people can feel from the cameras if they believe, and I believe they do. And so it's very cool because you can see the training that goes into someone's specialized position. And so it's very special. So we're glad that you're here. Anyway, I recognize it, and I think it's fantastic. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? And there's a reason for that, you know, with their specialized training, because they're supposed to observe things that people would probably take for granted or not even observe.
Right.
And when they're looking for explosives or something else, when they're dealing with dignitaries or a governor or anybody that comes into the state, they got to make sure it's safe and secure for everybody within the community. One thing I want to go back to Villanova is, you know, we're talking about like high schoolers, like people from 18 to 20 and a half. One of the other things that we do, other than the paperwork, is we'll put a lot of those people at that age range, you know, they might work for us for a couple of years. They'll do build outs on our police cars. So they'll put our lights and our sirens and all that stuff. They know all the working components. One of the good things, working around all the troopers, they start learning the 10 code, because we use 10 codes for our radios. And by the time they get done with all that, they're more than ahead than all the rest of the academy class. So we always say, hey, if this is a career that you're really looking for, this is something that you can get in ahead of time. And then when you get close to that academy at 20 and a half, and we have an academy, we'll pop you in, because by the time the 26 weeks or 6 months you get done, you're going to be 21. And the reason that we do that is when you have to be 21 to carry a firearm legally, you know, nationwide. So we always encourage people, if they can get in early and they want to do that, the earlier you start at 21. Right. Let's say you do 20, 25 years.
Right.
You're only 36 years old. And let's say you retire after 25 or 30 years, at, 36, 40 years old. You can do another 20 years somewhere else, have 2 retirements. And if you, who knows, they're probably going to raise our Social Security in the 70s. So you might get 3 by then, but our health care might be better too. But no, these are things I even told my son, who's in the military. You know, he went in at 18, right? He'll be 38 years old when he retires with full medical and dental, and he has a paycheck from the government the rest of his life. And I said, at 38, you work 20 years or even more, you're only 58 years old, and you already got 2 retirements coming in, you're set. And it's kind of the same way. The earlier you start with us, and I'm not trying to discourage anybody, because there's other people in other departments, and we'd love to get the laterals or people in the military. We're always looking for you to come, and this is a great career, but this is a check that you'll get the rest of your life. Even if you work 5 or 10 years, I mean, we always want you to work longer, but when you reach a certain age, you're still going to get a check from the state the rest of your life, because you put that time in. You're building time as you go. And it's not like a 401k where, let's say something belly up goes where you lose a 401k, like remember Enron and some of these
Right.
other things. The only way that you would not get your check is if the nation went totally under or the state went under too. You know, if people couldn't pay
Right,
tax or whatever.
100%.
You're always going to have that paycheck for the rest of your life for doing the time. And like you said, it's not always easy, but the benefit that you get from being an officer, knowing that you did so much good for the community, and the satisfaction you get from it when you get home helping others, because it takes a certain type of person that wants to do this
That's
job,
right.
and the satisfaction of doing all that for the public and for the good outweighs all the bad that we see every day.
Yeah,
So,
no, 100%. And that's what people have to see. You know what I mean? All right. You ready for the next part of what we do?
Sure.
All right. We used to just talk, but then it wasn't as beneficial. So now we add pictures on there. And so just as I said, we don't do anything that's scripted. I don't know any of the pictures. Trooper Hagstrom works with Johnny, so that we'll always have things that are fresh. So, wet roads will be slick, so increase your following distance and use your headlights. Many crashes around Las Vegas Valley.
okay, this is something that we experienced last week. A lot of people here in the Vegas Valley, because we never really get rain. It's kind of like a rarity. We might get clouds and it always passes us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we need some rain. But from all the oils and fluids that get into our roads and it bakes in there with the sun, makes it very slick. And last week, this is some of the problems that we talked about: speed, right? Speed is a major issue. So when we have somebody speeding, going around the corners, they lose control of their car, they hit the rocks over here. Look, it's an overturn. This is another one that was this was over by the Rainbow, I believe. But this one is down by Sunset, down in the Henderson area, another rollover. But we had several of these throughout the day, and we're like, slow down, people. I mean, always use your headlights, your windshield wipers, and give yourself some distance, because you got to have some reaction time for up ahead. I've told numerous times on the show, when you're driving down the road, always look 5 or 10 car lengths ahead, and if you start seeing those brake lights coming on, that means something's up ahead. Or traffic slowing. So start using that distance, a couple 2 to 3 car distance, depending on how fast you're going. The faster, the more distance you want to take. If you're doing 65, 75, you want to have at least 5 car distance, because you can make a lot of time up by somebody coming to a complete stop. You're traveling football fields,
Right.
At the speed, so you can't stop right away. And then when you add the rain and the oil slicks and everything on the road, it becomes even more dangerous. So we want people to know, just slow down when we start having these rains. Be more cautious, and plan ahead. We always talk about that. Plan ahead before if you know it's going to rain, leave a little bit early so you can take that time. You can think about work. You can you're not rushed. You're not stressed. And when you're driving crazy, you're putting stress on other people. And we don't need that. So just kind of slow it down.
And because we live in an area where there's not a lot of rain, generally speaking, I mean, the tire baldness doesn't really matter. Somebody puts 40, 50,000 miles on their tires, and they're like, well, there's a few cracks in it, and, maybe it might or might not have a blowout. But the baldness doesn't really matter. But then you have the slick, and then you have the baldness, and then you have the oil, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
Your patrol car, because of you having a take-home car, you don't have to worry about when you leave that the tires are rotated and all of this type of stuff. You and your K9 are safe. You know what I mean? And you travel at a speed, and you have been trained that how to control your car in all different type of climates and speed and all that type of stuff. And so the time to learn how to drive a car is definitively not like this. You know what I mean? And so people need to know that the speed is reckless behavior, and they need to understand that, right?
Yeah, Trooper Hagstrom was absolutely correct. I mean, I'm not sure if it's because of the way our highways are designed here in the valley, or, but every time it rains, you see scenes like this all too often, and people are either in a rush, They get impatient. You know, these highways, you know, some of these roads are, you know, they merge all weird, and kind of people just get mad at each other, you know, have a lot of road rage out here, and it causes scenes like this all the time. Especially this one right here. Like, I remember this one specifically, not this picture, but this area where I've worked multiple crashes where people flipping their cars here, you're just by going too fast. So it's a multiple range of factors that causes these things.
Rooster is very excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's relaxing. He's just taking it easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I love about that dog.
Yeah, this
It's a
is what I'm
great dog.
saying.
Yeah, put some
What-
cookies down here for him.
What does Rooster eat? Can I ask? Am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah, he eats just Victor dog food. It's like a premium dog food.
And how many days does he generally work?
He works when I work, so basically 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. When I'm at work, he's at work. On the weekends, we kind of take it more chill. I'm not doing any kind of training. I'll take him out for a walk or two, but that's about it. I keep all the fun stuff at work, so he keeps his drive up.
And do you oh, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
So when we learned about the bomb dogs, right, or the detection, right? So here's my question for you.
Yeah.
In a normal canine, we had when the officer passed away. They had I was talking to the Metro bomb dog. I forget the officer's name, but he said to me that one of the things, and I wanted to ask you about your dog. A normal canine, right? They train to go after the person, and then they get their reward when they come. I think I may not be explaining it right. So when they go and they find the person, right? They get the reward, or when they find the drugs, they get the reward, right? But I think it was the fire inspector dog,
Oh, the arson dog.
the arson dog, because and so he said too that the way that their dog works is that they go and find the problem, but they have to be very gentle to not disturb. And then is that, and then when they come back after not disturbing, right? So so my question to you is this: does he generally work on the leash, or do you just let him roam?
sure.
And then when he finds something, he sort of, without getting into specifics, you know?
Yeah,
what I'm
so
saying?
in a controlled environment, mainly I work out of like a warehouse where the team's at. I put out training aids for him, and when he alerts on it, that's when I reward him with the ball. And that's when his drive comes in, is because he doesn't get that ball when he's at home, only when he's at work. Either when I'm at the warehouse, either I can work him on or off leash. Both have its pros and cons. But if I'm out at a real event, like a venue, then he's always going to be on leash.
Always going to be on leash.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's too many people. You never know what they're going to do. You don't know if he's going to run off, or he's a dog, you know.
Right.
At
No,
the
no,
end
no,
of the
no,
day.
100%.
So you got to have control of him at all times. But at the warehouse in a controlled environment, I kind of have it more lax, where he can search off leash, which gets the same amount of reps.
And Neil, one of the things that he's speaking about when they have that fine, they're called passive dogs, where the other dogs dogs can be trained in two different ways. Like for drugs, they can be aggressive alert, which means they'll scratch and they'll bite and they'll put it. Where a bomb dog, they'll either sit down,
Right.
and they'll use their nose or no point. And the handler, by the dog's reactions, whether it's a tail, if they're getting close, they watch everything about the dog. I mean, we won't talk about all the different
Right. No,
indicators.
no, no, 100%.
But they know their dog so well, and when that dog sits down or he looks at a certain spot, he's on point exactly. He knows that it's not a false alert or anything. You know, we don't want to call it like false alert.
Right.
He's actually alerting to the thing that he's finding, and then they can pull him off, reward him from that. Where an aggressive police dog, if it's taught aggressive style, they'll do the same thing. They can do it off leash or on leash, and they'll actually claw or try to get at it, and then they'll pull them off, and then maybe they'll throw them a toy at the same time. So it's a same benefit.
I watch a TV show on the weekends where they go inside the life of the police officers, and so they have the canines on there. You know what I mean? And so, but they very rarely have these type of specialized canines on there. You know what I mean? What did you say? 1 year ago, you've been doing this?
So I got on the team last November, and me and Rooster have been certified since February, so we're still pretty fresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in 1 year, he has his whole life changed, right?
100%,
Maybe the direction that he's going, and this is all because of the Nevada State Police.
Right.
This is because a trooper who was an officer, right? Officer, then trooper, decided, and what are you now? So you would be considered a trooper or an officer?
I'm still considered a trooper, yeah.
A trooper,
for sure.
Okay, so so he's considered a trooper, but this is something that people need to know, that this is something Nevada State Police offers to someone.
Right.
Like, so if you're watching right now, right, they need to contact you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go to nevadastatepolice.com, and you guys, my information is all on there, my email, phone number. But yeah, no, I always tell people there's no reason for you to get stagnant or to get bored in your career with DPS or Nevada State Police, because there's so many opportunities, not only with the division that you're currently working for, but like both myself and Trooper Chen here, we both started at parole and probation. We kind of grew out of that position and moved over to highway patrol. He has moved on to being a bomb recognition with his K9, and I have moved on to the training division as well as a sworn recruiter. So it's just, the opportunities are endless, and those are just two of the divisions that we have. We still have Capitol Police, we have fire marshals, we have Nevada Division of Investigations. So it's just, there's so many opportunities within each division as well. So we're both highway patrol, and we're both doing two completely different job functions essentially. And those are just two of the smaller ones that we have to offer. So like I said, there's no reason to get bored. There's no reason to not grow within your career with Nevada State Police, because there's opportunities left and right, and they're readily available to you. Like I said, as long as you're out there working and you're showing initiative and you're actually out there handling stuff, there's no reason for you not to kind of grow and expand your career a little bit.
And so when is the next thing that you do on the weekends and all that stuff? When is the next academy? Tell us about that.
We actually just had a testing event this past Saturday, May 10th. Our next one will be May 18th, which is next. I'm sorry, May 21st, which is next Wednesday, and then we'll have a next Saturday as well. So the 24th will be our testing events. We actually have a Southern Academy starting here on May 27th. So that one would be a little bit tough to get, well, actually impossible to get people into if they test now. However, we do have another academy starting either mid-November or early December of this year, and we would absolutely be able to get people into that one if they started testing now. Maybe even up to the end of August, we'd be able to get people into the December academy.
And it's not easy. Like, you
It's
know what I
not.
mean? Like, we want to laugh and joke and all this type of stuff, but like, you are looking for very specific people
Right.
that meet the qualifications, because it's not an easy job.
It's not. No.
And so people need to understand that, right?
Yeah, and I mean we're looking for people who want to make a difference, right? We don't want people coming in and thinking that it's kind of this relaxed position and you don't have to do anything about it. We want people like Trooper Chen that come and work and strive to be the best, so then that way they can get specialty positions like this. We want people to come and actually want to make a change in people's lives when they're out on the road, because working the road isn't just working crashes and handling citations. You're dealing with the public on a very specific basis, to where you're impacting lives, whether it is you're handing a citation over to them or you're handling a crash. You're dealing with the public on one of their worst days on most days. So we want people that are able to come out and conduct themselves in a professional manner. And a lot of that is also taught in the academy. So that, like I said earlier, we're not asking you to have any experience whatsoever. We're going to teach you how to work the road. We're going to teach you how to handle the public and just kind of go out there and do what's right.
But you got to be 100% dedicated.
Correct.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like, you can't be like 60% and go, well, you know, I'll get the other 40%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no.
The colonel retired. 50 years.
Yeah, I had to put that up Neil, our head of our command for the Highway Patrol, just retired this last April, and he did 25 years with the LAPD, and then came and did another 25 years, 50 years of law enforcement service to the public, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to put that up there for. To have somebody to do that, that's amazing. I mean, some people have one career in their 50 years, and here he did 50 years just in law enforcement alone. So we just want to say thanks to Colonel Conway for his work, and good luck with the retirement, and hopefully he'll have an enjoyable rest of the years of his life doing something that he enjoys.
Yeah, had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times, and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing is that what people have to know about the Nevada State Police is that they care. You know, when we had Miss Stevenson come on from the front office, right? You know, and talked about the lieutenant colonel, how he sends everybody a text on their birthday, right? And you know, this is the leadership. And so in other agencies, if you are not at a certain rank, you don't talk to that person of the certain rank, or you know, this person doesn't talk to this person because he didn't talk to this person first, or, you know, all these different things. And so one of the things that's really wonderful is that the leadership of the Nevada State Police is there. If you have a problem, you have a question, there's somebody there to call. And so to be able to have 50 years of service for your life, right? Like that's what you did for your life.
The entire life, pretty much.
Is so commendable that you know, you're getting up there with your stripes, though. You know what I'm saying? I must tell you. You know what I mean? But it's
you had a good
important,
point, though. I mean, not only the dedication, but when you're talking about, you know, being able to talk to command and all this stuff, we're a lot different than a lot of other agencies. We're more like a family, and that's what we try to tell people. You know, we might be the I'd say probably third or fourth largest agency in the state, because we got Metro and we got Henderson, you know, all these big departments that have a lot of people, but we're like family. We might only have under 400 troopers across the state, but everybody knows everybody. Everybody trains with everybody. If we have a natural disaster or something major happens in the state, and me and Louis, we all have take-home cars. If we have to go up there, that's what the reason state troopers have take-home cars too, is because if the governor needs to call us up and we have something major in the state that we have to handle, we have to be ready and available. We can't just jump in cars and say, hey, we got to look for extra cars, you know, to try to jump in with people. We have to leave then and now, and that's one of the reasons we have take-home cars. But one of the greatest benefits for our troopers having take-home cars is that you hit on from your home, you know, going 1041, which you're on duty, and off duty from your driveway too. You don't spend gas, everything's taken care of. These are just extra benefits of being a trooper, you know. So, yeah, we really like to work with our command staff, and they're trying to set us in a new direction. Sometimes change is hard to do, but we work together as a team, and we accomplish as much as we can while we're out there doing our work, and they have to do their administrative work.
For you, 10 years, it's tremendous.
Thank you.
Johnny and I, we have the unique opportunity that we get to come to all the dedication ceremonies and stuff like that. We love it. You know what I mean? And we get to come and hang out and say hello to everybody. And, you know, 10 years is a huge accomplishment. You know, I mean, when we look at someone that is going to be in a career like yours, right? The training that you're getting, just like when we had the fire marshals come on, right? And like he was like, yeah, you know, I just went here and I just flew to here and I just did this and I had to get more training, and you know, the hazmat stuff and all that stuff. And then we had the investigators come on, you know, for the hazmat. It really is tremendous because you're really learning and you're understanding all these different things that the general public, let's say, doesn't understand. but with you learning these type of things, one of the coolest things was that you said, I don't have to do the road enforcement unless someone's doing something egregious.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, this is the important thing, and that's one of the things that people have to see, is that you could be in your specialized unit with your K9 and everything like this and be like, look, I drive down the road, these people drive past me at 130, I don't really care. But that's not what you're saying.
Right.
And so this is part of the dedication that it takes to be a specialized state trooper, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. There's something in me where I've been working here for so long where if someone's doing something egregious, like, I gotta stop them. Like, you can't just let some things go. Driving on the shoulder, cutting in through traffic, like going over 100 miles an hour. Like, I don't care what position I'm in, I'm gonna stop that car.
Yeah.
And the 10 years thing, yeah, it goes by so quick. I can remember the first day that I started pre-academy at home probation, not knowing anything, going through the academy up in Carson City, come back to here, working P&P for 5 years. Up until now, like, it's a blink of an eye. Like, I feel like every 5 years I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
One thing that I like about this job is you're always learning. You're constantly learning, especially in this spot that I have now. Like, once I got in, I feel like I didn't know anything. I felt like it was day one again, all over again for me, which is like the hardest part. Kind of feel like you're starting over from learning, but that's one of the pros of this job, I think, is to keep your education going, learning new things, and that's what builds your resume and makes you a well-rounded trooper or officer.
Yeah, you have to become vulnerable after doing what you're doing,
It
right?
keeps you
And
sharp.
like,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? But you're around people that you know that are not going to treat you bad. Like, with exposing your vulnerability, which I think is really wonderful because officer wellness is so important. You know what I mean? Like, you need people to be able to talk to and, to be able to, at that point in your career, sort of start over and to be completely vulnerable. It just shows like a great man. It's like it's very commendable.
Thank you, appreciate that.
All right, you ready? Does Nevada State Police do the pit maneuver?
We do not train or utilize the pit maneuver in the state of Nevada. For one, our cars are not equipped for it. They have to be equipped a certain way and built a certain way for it to happen. However, in extingent circumstances, if there's something going on that we have to put an end to whatever's going on in that car, we have to get authorization from a supervisor that's listening to the radio or the call, and we are authorized to take enforcement if we have to.
And we have done pits.
We have.
Yes.
We have.
Okay.
We're just not trained in them, and we're not authorized to just do them like other state agencies.
And I think it's going to change, Neil, in the future.
Potentially, yeah.
They're looking into it right now. I mean, we have the bumpers, we have all the stuff to actually do the pits, and we've had to do it on exigent circumstances. You know what I mean? Where we have to do it, or it's going to cost lives. You know what I mean?
No,
so
100%.
So, but I think in the future they're really examining that, and that's probably going to be something in the future that that our department will either decide or not decide. So
In Arkansas, they do it at 100 miles an hour.
Georgia,
these
Georgia,
guys drive
Jesus.
down the freeway. You know what I'm saying? And,
Absolutely.
But like in extenuating circumstances.
Yes.
Okay. When it comes to reckless driving, sort of define for me what is reckless driving.
So reckless driving is not just speeding at 120 miles an hour. I mean, depending on the time of day, right? The Clark County District Attorney's Office would like to see 2 out of 3 hazardous moving violations happening at the same time for it to be defined as reckless driving. So whether it be speeding, following too closely, unsafe lane changes, again, weaving in and out of traffic. It has to be at least 2 of those combined with what they're doing at the same time. So let's say driving at 2 o'clock in the morning going to California, where there's no traffic at all whatsoever, and you're doing 120. It's not really 100. It's not really endangering the lives of other public that are out on the road because there's nobody out on the road. However, now rewind that and doing that at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the 95 going out towards Kyle Canyon. You're doing that now. Now that's starting to get reckless. You're putting the lives of the public at danger. You're putting the lives, or the life of yourself in danger. You know, it's just dependent on the climate and the time of day that it is and what they're doing.
Is reckless driving an arrestable offense?
It is. Absolutely it is.
And if someone is caught for reckless driving, they can have their whatever it is that they're driving towed.
Yes.
So therefore they could be arrested, and they would have their car towed as well, or their
Correct.
whatever they're
Yes.
driving.
Yeah. They would get arrested and booked into the jail, whatever area that they're in, and their vehicle will be impounded, and then they'd have to pay the fee to get it out.
All right. You said about driving on the shoulder. Are you allowed to drive on the shoulder?
Absolutely not.
Okay. When the 2 lanes are taken up, I can't just get onto the shoulder and drive past everybody at 50 miles an
No.
hour. That's
No.
not legal.
No, sir. It's for emergencies only. Sometimes there might be a crash up ahead, you know, like a bad one, and then emergency vehicles need to get to that. Now, if you're driving on the shoulder and you're blocking this, that's going to be a problem.
A big problem for you.
Huge.
Yeah.
And when a customer, when someone is driving on the freeway, can they drive too slow?
That's called impeding traffic, and that can also get you a citation. But you know what? When you're on the interstate or whatever, if you choose to drive slower, even on interstates, if you're doing some interstates set at 45 at the minimum at the slowest, always get in the far right lane.
Yeah.
And slower traffic, as long as you allow other people to pass, you can do it. But if you're in the fast lane and you're gonna drive the speed limit or slower, it's and I hate to say that, you know, speed limit or
Right,
stuff, but you
right.
still got to allow people to pass you.
Uh-huh.
You could be impeding traffic, and that is a citation offense. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is we have a segment every week, and it's his tips and tricks. So I'm throwing
Tips and tricks.
I'm adding in there, like, you know, questions like
Trooper trivia.
right? Trooper trivia.
oh,
There you go.
absolutely, yeah.
See, there we go. Johnny, add that to the new thing. All right, National Police Week. So, you know, one of the coolest things is that people come in every single day in the store, and they go, thanks for doing the service, for giving them the best price in the store and all that stuff. But every day there's 5 or 10 people that say, thank you for what you do for the police department. Thank you for putting your show so that we can see. They just wish it was longer.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so that they could see more of it. But the thing is that every single day people come in. And so people love the police. There might be some people out there that whatever it is that they feel, and they have their right to feel whatever it is that they feel, but people love the police. People respect the police. To be a police officer takes a special person. And then to work for the Nevada State Police, to be a state trooper, even takes it one level above that.
Yeah, Neil, and I attend a lot of community events throughout the valley all the time, and I have people that come up and talk about your show that you put on, and they really love your show. And I always tell people, if you don't really understand the police or what we do or whatever, come to some of our community events. We're more than happy to speak with you and answer all the questions you want to know about police and why certain things were done, because I even have the press that contact me, because they contact me all the time.
Oh, really?
And they ask me different things, like we had a canine on the highway, right? And they're asking why officers didn't get out of the car and grab the dog, right? And I told them there's a lot of different reasons why we don't. The reasons that we do things are for a certain way, because dogs are either in a fight or flight syndrome, right? Because they're scared. They're on the interstates, right? So when that dog's traveling, if we can keep them off to the side of the road, we're going to keep following them until they get off an exit or whatever safely. When that officer stops that car, you're not going to catch that dog, but let's say you frighten it or you spook it, guess what? It goes in a different direction. Now you got it in the interstate. Now you're almost killing the dog, right? Another thing is you can't just go up to a dog you don't know. We don't know if it's a family pet or a stray on the road, right? So now you have to deal with maybe rabies or viruses if the dog bites somebody, or sometimes a dog, when they get frightened, they're going to try to protect themselves, right? You're probably going to get bit, right? Unless you know the dog. A lot of officers, we do dog training. You know, we're required every year to do a segment on dog training and everything. And you can tell if that dog's friendly, if by his tail or whatever, and he wants to come up to you, we'll grab him and we'll put him in the car, because we do not want anything to happen to the public driving out there or any animal that gets on the interstate. We want to be able to save them every time. And I kind of got a little bit off. Sorry,
Yeah,
Neil.
no.
But I'm going to get back here on National Police Week. This is held in Washington, D.C. every year and throughout our nation. And we're honoring those who have given their lives in the line of duty and their families. Police do a lot more than what the public sees. You know, they think, hey, they drive around in the car, they answer calls, they write some tickets, whatever. But they don't see what the family goes through, and the missed birthdays and the holidays and getting called at 3 or 4 in the morning for like call outs if you have to go. There's a lot into it that happens, but we want to signify and show people, give them the respect and honor they deserve. I mean, these are people that gave their lives, and they're getting their names etched into the memorial in Washington, D.C. And this is a week-long thing through May 11th through the 17th. If you see a lot of officers throughout the valley, you'll see them with the band that goes over our badge. And that's to signify honoring our brothers and sisters who gave all for our communities.
It takes a special person to be an officer or trooper. Takes another one to then care for another animal. You know, I mean, getting back to what Trooper Hagstrom was saying, you know, unfortunately, there's bad people in the world. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone is nice and friendly, and they you know, they want to just go to work and, you know, go home and go to their family, and that's the end of the day, and, you know, smile and laugh and all that stuff. There's, you know, people do bad things, and so, you know, we always respect the animals because they don't have a voice, you know, and so I have the little dog, and you know what somebody did was horrific, and so it's, you know, people need to not do those type of things. And if they have an animal, and this isn't about animals, but I'm sure that, you know, any veterinarian in the world, that if you say you go and you drop your animal off and you're like, I can't take this for whatever the reason, I'm sure they're going to help you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? There's got to be, and so rather than, you know, do something horrific like this, without getting into your age, what did you,
He's young.
when you were growing up, where did you see yourself being a trooper and a police officer? Was that your drive and motivation? Like, you know, I always come back to, like, you know, Officer McClarty, Corporal McClarty, you know, how he worked in the casinos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, talk to us a little bit about your growing up in that way.
Yeah, sure. When I was younger, I mean, I didn't really see myself as a police officer, but I did watch way too many episodes of Cops, so maybe that kind of ingrained in my head, you know, further on in life. But pretty much grew up here in Las Vegas, went to school out here. Originally, I wanted to be a pilot, and I went to a aviation academy. I actually got some flight hours in and everything, and it's something, I don't know, I just had a change of interest. And by the time it was time to pick out a college, I kind of cracked open a catalog book from UNLV, kind of picked out criminal justice, and went there.
Oh.
So I got a bachelor's degree from the UNLV, graduated 2012. Shortly after that, I was literally just scrolling on my phone, and I found an opening in DPS. And during that time, it was when no law enforcement agencies were hiring. So I thought, this is the perfect opportunity, so I put on my application. I remember the first time going to that PT test, and there had to be like over 100 people there. And I was like, I'm never gonna get this job. Like, there's way too many competition. And yeah, I passed the PT test. Shortly after that, did the written, and shortly, you know, kept progressing through the steps, like the polygraph, the background, medical, the psych, and I finally got an acceptance letter. And I was so happy when I got that letter, for sure, because I remember at that time it was it was so hard to get into law enforcement, but here I am now, 10 years
What
later.
did you do? So tell me, I want to hear about this. So you got the letter.
Uh-huh.
They mailed you the letter,
Did they mail it to
or
us
do
or
you,
email?
do
I
you
think
go
it was
there and pick it
email,
up?
I think it was email. Yeah, I think it was email at the time. Yeah.
The email. So
Yep.
they email you the letter.
Yep.
You're at your wherever you're living, right? And you see it on, and you do you jump up and down?
Yeah, I couldn't
I
believe it.
mean,
I'm
like, you literally like, oh yes, I did it.
pretty much, yeah. Yeah,
did.
I mean, like, it's, I can't explain the feeling. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I've been aspiring to be a cop since, I would say, at the end of high school, up and all through college. And when I finally got the job, it's like, wow, I couldn't believe this is an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like that, do you like immediately start like getting prepared? Like, okay, I need to get prepared, and like
Oh,
you,
100%, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I want to know, because here's the thing. This is the exciting thing that no one ever gets a chance to ask you. Does that make sense? So I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say I was starting to get prepared right before the PT test. I was busy with like work, and I got like very short notice that I was gonna do the PT test, right? So for 2 weeks straight, all I did was run, right? Yeah, all I did was run.
Yeah.
Yep. So got in shape that way, and then passed the PT test, and ever since then, like I kept up with the physical stuff. Come here. But yeah, it's an ongoing thing for I want to say like self-improvement. It's always ongoing. There's not really a break in this job. I mean, that's when you get complacent and then you become, like a bad officer. But yeah, like I said, it's the training and everything it's continuous.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
The badge.
Right.
Right? Like, it's just not something that you put, and he wears his here, you wear yours here. You know what I mean? I think somebody had it where it was sewn in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know
Well,
what
like
I mean?
Clifton and all them always
yeah,
have the sewn
like,
in
right.
shirts.
They have the
Yep.
sewn in. So it's still a badge,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's still in the deepest honor of why you wear them. And so people have to know when they see that if there's a problem, that's the person that you go to.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? When all else fails, you find that person with that badge, and that's the person. And so we need to teach this, which we are, from the young all the way up, because we need from the children on up to know that when they see an officer that, they respect that officer.
Yeah.
Like, look, you got pulled over. Do me a favor, just put your hands on the steering wheel. Don't say a word. You know what I mean? I'm going to come up to you. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to talk to you for a moment. You know what I mean? Like, let's be civil with each other. Like, I caught you doing 75. Like, you know what I mean? My speedometer's broke. I mean, all these type of things. And so an officer, a trooper, deserves the respect, because in order to get to that place was not easy. Their family gave up a lot. They gave up a lot. They give up a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trooper Hagstrom gets, after retiring and everything and coming back, it's like, oh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Listen, there's an accident on the 15. Can you drive your patrol car out here now so you can talk to the TV people? But that's dedication, right? And that's what we're looking for Nevada State Police.
Right, and with DPS, or Department of Public Safety, one of our sayings is dedication, pride, and service. And I truthfully believe that every single trooper and officer that we have in the department has every single one of those. I can't think of one trooper or officer that doesn't take this profession as seriously as all of us do. We take a lot of pride in our service, a lot of pride in our work that we go out and do for the public on a day-to-day basis. And I say it all the time, but I definitely believe that we are elite. Our training gets us there. The way we handle the public, the way we handle calls, the way we handle our work in general is far none to other agencies, I think, in the state. But yeah, and a lot of that comes from, like you were saying earlier, attention to detail. I think that's where it starts at day one of the academy. That's ingrained into them. Like, hey, you're going to have dedication and pride, and you're going to want to go out and work and do all of these things and show off the agency, because this uniform doesn't represent me. It doesn't represent what I do. It represents the state. It represents the state as a whole. That's what our cars represent. That's what we go out on a day-to-day basis to do, is represent the state of Nevada.
Yeah, and it's very
Absolutely.
important. You know what I'm saying?
Well said.
Well said. Look at this.
All right, Sean's safety tips. Sorry, we always got to get
Yeah,
in on my
absolutely.
safety messaging, right?
Is that your car back there? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, Neil, the reason I wanted to put this up here, within this last month, within a 2-week period, we had 3 sport bike, high-speed, reckless drivers that ended up losing their lives on the roadway because of splitting lanes, driving at excessive speeds. We're talking 115 to 140 miles an hour during these crashes. And the reason we know that is, you know, at least one of them had a GoPro, another one was a GPS thing. It kind of told us, you know, one of the speeds before they got struck was 147 miles an hour. We talked about this, how you're not going to survive this. But what I wanted the public, the general public, to know, because we have a lot of people moving in from California. And in California, lane splitting is legal out there. But here living in Nevada, lane splitting is illegal. And I have our NRS, the 486351 up there, states it's illegal for motorcycles, mopeds to pass another vehicle within the same lane. And lane splitting is illegal in this state. We see it every day. I have motorcycles pass me on the shoulder, splitting lanes at 100+ miles an hour. It makes me feel really bad because I'm not able to just go after them because
Right.
where am I going to go? I mean, how are you going to get those people? And people probably look at you like, in your marked car, you put lights on, go after them. Where are you going to catch them? You know what I mean? These people are gone. Sooner or later, we've talked about this a little bit previously. You know, you're playing. I don't want to play a little bit of the devil's advocate here. You start doing this every single day. It takes just one mistake at 100+ miles per hour on the roadway. And a lot of these guys that were taking these risks, a lot of it was just clipping the end of the vehicle. I was able to watch a video, and the person clipped the back vehicle, took the whole mirror off the front fairing area of the motorcycle while he was entering both cars at 100 miles an hour. And after he clipped that left side, he hits the other vehicle, clips the other side, but he was able to maintain it and throttle through fast, right, to get out of there. But then I don't know if he looked at his speedometer or whatever, when he was throttling out, he went off to the left and just hit a regular pickup truck directly from behind and was ejected. So, and that was just one out of the 3. And the reason we wanted to bring this up, I also did a motorcycle messaging thing with the National Park Service in Lake Mead because of the fatal crashes they're having with motorcycles. And it's all due to speed because they have windy hills and everything else, but you get those motorcycles off on that soft dirt and they try to correct it, they get ejected every time. A lot of them are fatal, so we had a multi-agency, I think it was Henderson, us, Metro, have motorcycles out at Lake Mead a few weeks ago, and I ended up giving a speech explaining everything about, you know, safe driving while riding motorcycles here in the valley. And the reason we had to do that is because all of our motorcycle crashes going up, and the speed factors with these sport bikes have to stop, you know, and I don't know what else to do but to talk about it and get the word out. And if we can get to a few people in their minds start thinking, hey, maybe I am driving a little bit reckless because, like I said, it's just a matter of time. It's going to happen. You might do this daily, and you might think you're a great rider, but that person that doesn't see you and it edges out in front of you, and you're doing 100 miles an hour and you got another vehicle, where are you going? And that's the end of it. You know what I mean? So I just want people to know, and the public out there, I wanted to bring up that lane splitting is illegal in this state. And I'd like a message out to the people that drive the sport bikes out there. Not all of them are reckless. We see quite a few that are out there that test the speed. You notice they don't have their plates on and all this other stuff because they're driving the way they do.
They tuck them
But
under.
yeah, but soon after, through time, your time is gonna run out if you're gonna keep driving this way. And I just want them to think about that and say, hey, maybe I need to cool it down and not drive like I'm driving every day, because it's an average of percentages of it's gonna catch up with you.
How many tires are on your car?
4 that I can count.
Okay. How many tires are on a motorcycle?
2.
So when one tire goes out, you're completely up a creek.
Yeah, that's it.
At least in a car, with no training whatsoever, right? If somebody does have a blowout or something, at least there's a possibility of at least them riding on a rim or something to maintain some speed, right?
Yeah, like if you're on a motorcycle and you're going 100 miles an hour and you hit a nail or get a flat somehow, there's no training for that. You're probably gonna die.
Probably gonna die. And approximately how many feet do you think is between two cars that are on a freeway? 3 feet?
2 cars?
Yeah, like between lane 1 and 2. What would you say? A couple feet?
Oh, between the lanes? Yeah, maybe like.
If you had 2 cars, probably a couple feet,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like 4
so I
feet.
mean, they're literally inches from mirrors,
Right.
right? So people have to know that these type of activities are not tolerated. That you can't chase them because there's no way to get in where they're going, but that the Nevada State Police doesn't tolerate this type of activity.
Right.
And so when they catch you, and they will catch you, that there are going to be consequences. And people have to know that when they're driving these type of things, right?
Right. So if the consequence isn't injury or death, if we stop you, if they stop, a lot of the problem is we can write them the most expensive ticket ever, right? But then they bring it to a ticket lawyer or the judge, and they bring it back down to something that's lesser. So where's the consequence behind that? And it's an ongoing thing.
And so what people have to know is that when someone does the DUI, that they say you can drive 70 or 80 times before you're going to get caught, but that time that you get caught or whatever, it might be the end of your life or someone else's life, right? When you were in parole and probation, those type of activities have consequences if there is death or things like that during these type of activities, right?
Yeah, correct. I've supervised multiple people who've been on probation for DUI resulting in death or injury. So yeah, it is pretty common, sad to say. But again, they have so much leeway, so you have to have 3 DUIs in a 7-year period before it's even a felony.
I saw that, and so I had the customer come into the store who I sent the thing to Trooper Hagstrom. You know what I mean? Because her daughter was killed. You know what I mean? And so it's really horrific. And so if the laws are not in totality going to help, then we need to do everything we can for the messaging, to get the messaging out that these type of things are not going to be tolerated, on top of which we need to plan ahead, and that speed and impairment and things like that have real consequences. In your business, right, you can't be wrong. If you're wrong, potentially someone could lose their life, right? So you have to train to the absolute best of your ability so that when you're in a not controlled environment, right, the training is over, right? Talk to us about your mind of what it's like to sort of walk around with Rooster so mentally focused that you're trying to find something that may not even be there.
Right, yeah, so I train with Rooster almost every single day, and that's what keeps his drive up. So the transition from training every day doing to the actual thing, it's seamless for him. He thinks it's all a game, but in reality, it's more serious when we're actually going to a real event where there's actual people involved. But he thinks the whole job of odor detection is a game to him. So it's when transitioning to when we're doing it in a controlled environment like the warehouse with the training aids to actually doing it, you know, in a hotel suite that a dignitary is staying in, or a live event. It's not much difference to him.
Yeah. And what about for you?
For me, yeah, of course, my senses are kind of heightened when I'm actually doing it for real. Of course, you're looking for certain things. There's going to be
Without specifics, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But
I'm trying to get around
but
that.
but like your mind,
Yeah.
like do you, like what I'm asking is this? Let me ask it a different way. You know that, and I'm not speaking hypothetically now, right? Like you know that on day X you're going to this place to look, or because a dignitary's coming in or whatever it might be, right? So you know that. So when you wake up in the morning of that day, for him it's no big deal. You're going to feed him. He thinks he's going to play, and that's it, right? But for you, do you have a certain breakfast that you eat? Like, do you for you, like in your mind, or like how do you with your training? Do you just, when you go into a certain place, you just trigger your mind to just, you're starting to work now, or
If I have something going on that day, like an event, honestly, I think it's just, I don't know if it's me personally, but
Yeah.
I just treat it like any other day. It does me no good if I'm amped up about, you know, doing a certain thing or going to a certain place. So I treat it any normal day. However, I do think about certain things, like instead of training, like I know where I hide the odors or the training aids. In real life, I'm thinking of places where someone would put something.
right? Okay.
And then one thing I wanted to add to him being a canine handler, it's great that he has that attitude going into that, just like a regular day. Because if you get stressed or amped up,
Yeah.
it falls down the leash onto the dog.
Yeah.
Then the dog becomes stressed and knows something's wrong. That's how dogs are amazing animals. So if you're kind of like stressed, you're putting that stress on the dog. So that's great that he's already learned, hey, it's just another day. I'm going to go through this. I know what to look for, what to see. But you never want to get stressed or amped up. Same with horses. Dogs and horses are amazing. It can always be led through the leash, and you don't want that. I just wanted to add that in
Yeah,
there.
no,
Because
no,
a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that.
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
know, like the thing is that there's a confidence, right? Like again, like, and it's very it's very modest. You know what I'm saying? But it's something where you sort of go back and rely on your training. Like, you know, when you're driving your car. And someone was to speed in front of you, and you would have to speed to catch them or whatever, you're trained, right? And so people have to know that when you are an officer, when you are a trooper, that you go through extensive training in all aspects of what you do, and that during the year you're continuously training as well, because they want you to be on the top of your game. We've talked about it before, where, you know, they want to have the best equipment, so that they, you know, if there was, you know, something that really, you know, happened, it's not like, well, we'll order that equipment next week and then we'll have it. No, like Nevada State Police, you train with the latest equipment. You train with that. I want people to know, because it's something that you talk about, your uniform, your gun, your stuff, right? Other agencies, they make you,
Purchase them.
and Nevada State Police,
We give everything that you need to be a law enforcement officer.
and so a lot of people that they might have perfect credit. They might have all the things in the world to qualify to be a Nevada State Police officer or trooper. Maybe they don't have $3,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a perfect world.
Yeah.
And so, but I would love to be a trooper. So what do I do? And so Nevada State Police just asks you to come 100% dedicated, right?
Absolutely, yeah. like I said, we will give you everything, teach you everything on how to become a law enforcement officer. You said it right on the head. I mean, if you're trying to go to the local agencies here, you have to purchase a lot of the gear that's on your belt, and then God forbid you don't make it to the academy. Now you're out $2,000 to $3,000, and you can't even use half of the stuff that's on your belt. With us, we will give you everything to come into the academy, and then if you don't make it to the academy, you just give everything back. No harm, no foul. You get out of the academy, and you still get more gear on top of that. The cadets that just graduated in March just got their all of their issued state vehicles just yesterday. They were allowed to move them and kind of set them up the way that they wanted to, that they were comfortable with. The state just purchased us all brand new rifles, very high quality rifles that come with red dots, suppressors, lights, slings, brand new slings. Our cars are now all equipped with LPRs, or license plate readers, which a lot of the agencies don't have in town here. They're only stationed at certain points in town on fixed posts. However, all of our cars are all equipped with those cameras. So that actually goes back to the lane splitting too. If you do lane split and you don't stop for us, our camera will pick up your license plate and we will end up finding you at some point. So that goes all the way back to the equipment and stuff that the state does for us. We have all of the high quality equipment. We have all of the high quality stuff that goes out to make our job just a little bit easier. I mean, we're all equipped with rifles. We're all equipped with shotguns. We're all equipped with everything that's on our belts. At other agencies, you have to be a specialized unit to be able to carry a rifle or a shotgun. You have to be able to articulate why you are pulling out that shotgun or that rifle for the call that you're going to. With us, if you think that you need the rifle or it's going to benefit you a little bit more, you can pull it without having to explain to anybody.
The show that I watched, they ran after somebody, like one of the criminals, right? And at the end, they rolled on the ground, right? And the one lady, she ripped her pants like all the way up, and she goes, "Oh man, now I have to go out and buy a new pair of pants." You know what I mean? And so it made me think, like,
Yeah.
because you're always like, they buy your equipment,
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
like, again. Maybe you have a family. Maybe things are really tight. A lot of people don't have a lot of extra disposable money. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things. And so part of my budget is not to just go out and buy, $100 in pants because a criminal, and I were rolling on the ground and I ripped my pants. I mean, it's the little things that people need to know that the Nevada State Police do and does for the people that work for them, right?
Right, and then actually after you graduate, you get your standard set of uniforms, which I think are like 3 or 4 sets of shirts and 3 pairs of pants. However, every 2 years after that, you get a uniform allowance. Or I'm sorry, every year after that, you get a uniform allowance to where if you want to purchase more uniforms, you're absolutely allowed to. And you also get a boot allowance, so then that way you're getting brand new boots every couple of years, so then that way you're not wearing the same ones your entire career. Which boots for us can start to get pricey, especially if you get the ones that are like Tempur-Pedic, or not Tempur-Pedic, the comfort soles or whatever it is, and that's for both Parole and Probation and Highway Patrol, our entry level divisions. So, down to the uniform, we give you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, let's see what else.
Oh,
You finished already? That was it?
got 4 slides.
You know what that means?
We're done.
Right? Can you imagine already?
Yeah. Hey, but Neil, before we even start to go or anything, I just want the public to know that
Tell us.
Nevada State Police is always hiring.
Always.
And it's not for just state troopers or parole and probation. If you always wanted to be in law enforcement or connected to us, but don't want to carry a gun, we have a lot of civilian positions open right now. We have admin positions, all different types of admin positions, and also dispatch. Our Highway Patrol dispatch is hiring currently too. So if you go to nevadastatepolice.com, we have different opportunities. You can talk to this young man here, Louis. He'll be more
Yes.
than happy to put you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And we're just looking for a certain person that wants to be one of Nevada's finest. And that's what we're out here for, is to try to get the best people in the best jobs for them.
We next week will be episode 200, and so it's very important. And so Trooper Hagstrom has really taken it upon himself over the past probably 6 months or so to ensure that someone from a different department comes on every single week. And everybody always says the same questions. what am I getting myself into? You know what I mean, and all that type of stuff. But the thing is that it's very important, okay, because we want to showcase that Nevada State Police is a wonderful place to work. You know, the people that work there care, and so you taking the time to come down here with Rooster, just not only for me and everybody that watches and stuff, but you know, it just means so much. So I just want you to know that it has really meant a lot, and I appreciate very much you taking the time to come here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You know, next week you'll be here.
I will be here.
Recruiting. You know, we need more people. We need more people that want to drive motorcycles, that want to do canines, that want to, you know, do investigations, that want to do all these type of things. And so it's really easy. Just you know that you want to do this and contact you.
Yeah.
But you have to have the dedication, right?
Dedication, absolutely. And we can tell day one at the academy if you have it or not, if you're willing to put yourself into that position and be vulnerable and want to learn.
Yeah, and one of the biggest hurdles that we face is the fact that most people don't want to be vulnerable. Right? But we have to do that in order to build ourselves up to learn all these things. So.
Can I add one
yeah,
more
of
too?
course.
So
you want to be vulnerable too?
No.
So start crying.
But I want to say, you know, even though we're hiring administrative and, you know, parole and probation and state troopers and all that, but if you're in the military, please call him. If you're looking to get out within the 6 months, you could actually, they got we operate with a bridge program with the military and get you working with us right away, so it's an easier transition to get into our academies. Also for lateral officers out there, and it doesn't matter in the valley or across the country, if you're looking to make a change, please apply.
Yeah.
Just come out, check us out, and be part of our team. That's our. I always say, hey, if you want to kind of experience things prior to coming out and applying, please request a ride-along. Come do a ride-along with us. Also, we've talked to dispatch, and we can get you to sit with dispatch throughout the day and kind of see what they go, because that's a job that multitasking. I remember you telling me about the phones hanging on that and taking calls. I mean, but people are able to do that. They love their job, and those are the kind of things that we want people to know, that, hey, you can actually sit down with this agency and kind of see what it's like before you actually jump into it. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and if you want to be part of the team, come apply.
On top of the laterals, a lot of people don't understand or don't know, the state will match you up to 8 years of your service. So if you're at another department or agency, the state will match you your years of service up to 8 years of pay.
Yeah, so that's tremendous.
Yep.
Okay. Gentlemen, we're going to
Thank
look
you,
at
sir.
this camera right here. You ready? Hey, Rooster, you want to wave now? You want to wave at the camera like this?
He's like,
All right, we're going to
All right,
wave right
guys.
here. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Nice.
Bye.